Tonight on Newswatch, hear about the biggest earthquake to hit Italy since the late 70s.
And also, we continue to fill you in on the Dakota Pipeline protests.
I'll update you on last week's big weekend in Big 12 football on the Newswatch Sports Report.
And I will let you know when these warm temperatures are unfortunately going to be going away. Stay tuned. Newswatch starts now.
Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your night and week. Stay classy, Cyclones.
Welcome to Newswatch on ISU TV. My name is Lisa Greenwood.
And I'm Taylor Mankle. Thanks for joining us.
On Sunday, a 6.6 magnitude earthquake struck central Italy, being the strongest to hit the country in the last 30 years. This tremor is the third to hit the area in the last 2 weeks. Most of the area was evacuated in August after the earthquake that had killed almost 300 people. This most recent tremor injured around 20 people and damaged many historical buildings, homes, and towns that were being rebuilt from the previous earthquakes. There have been reports of 200 aftershocks since Sunday morning, and Prime Minister Matteo Renzi said they will rebuild everything.
As election night nears closer and closer, new polls show last-minute changes. Donald Trump is leading a nationwide tracking poll for the first time since May. Amidst the continued backlash the Clinton campaign is facing from the email server scandal, Trump and his campaign are seeing its biggest jumps since spring. In the ABC News and Washington Post national tracking poll, Trump is leading Clinton by 2%. While this lead is negligible, it has given the campaign what it's been looking for as to drive towards the end of this election season.
Following an investigation into former Congressman Anthony Weiner for allegedly sending inappropriate messages to a teenager, the FBI found thousands of emails from Weiner's ex-wife, who was Hillary Clinton's close aide, that may be related to Clinton's private email servers. The FBI will be reading through the emails but may not finish before Election Day. Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid is saying that the FBI Director James Comey could have broken the Hatch Act, claiming that he could be using his government position to influence the election by releasing this information. The White House will not defend or criticize Comey, and it is currently unclear what are in the emails, but the investigation is underway.
If you've been on Facebook in the last couple days, chances are you've seen some of your friends check in to the Standing Rock Indian Reservation in Cannonball Run, North Dakota. They are not alone, as nearly 1.5 million people have checked in here as to promote solidarity and support those fighting to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. It was leaked a few days ago that authorities were trying to use social media to determine how many people were actually at the reservation in protest. Since this information was released, there has been an outcry from protesters for all to check in here to skew the numbers and not allow authorities to get an accurate count. This is coming just mere days after a mass arrest of 100 plus was made by North Dakota officials. Protesters and check-ins continue as we speak.
A Halloween hayride accident caused the death of at least 3 people on Monday night. The incident happened in Chunky, Missouri, when a truck plowed into a hayride, killing 2 children and 1 adult. There were 10 victims total, and the survivors are currently being treated for life-threatening injuries. According to Highway Patrol Sergeant Andy West, the 3 dead were related. On the incident, he said, "This is a small community. This is a bad thing to happen anywhere, but when it is local, it really hits home. These are good people, and our hearts really go out to them."
Bob Dylan has finally spoken out after being named the 2016 recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature. When asked if he would be attending the Nobel ceremony, Dylan answered, absolutely, if at all possible. It was previously reported that Dylan has been ignoring phone calls from the Nobel Committee. At one point, they even went so far as to call Dylan impolite and arrogant. However, Dylan took lightly to the comments. He laughed and said, "Well, I'm right here." When asked about his reaction to the award, Dylan said, "It's hard to believe, amazing, incredible. Whoever dreams of something like that." The Nobel ceremony takes place on December 10th in Stockholm, Sweden.
A new bomb detector has been developed, and it's probably not what you would expect. Scientists recently transformed a spinach plant into a bomb detector by embedding tiny tubes in the plant's leaves. These tubes have the ability to pick up chemicals that are found in landmines and buried in munitions. The work done by MIT is published in the Journal of Nature Materials. Co-author Professor Michael Stranto from MIT in Cambridge said, "Our paper outlines how one could engineer plants like this to detect virtually anything. The plants could be used for defense applications, but also to monitor public spaces for terrorism-related activities, since we show both water and airborne detection."
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has declared in a meeting with British and American journalists that he plans on ruling until at least 2021. In a PR effort from Assad himself, he invited many journalists to his palace to discuss policies while his country is amid a dangerous civil war. During the sit-down, he refused to take blame for the current war that rages across the country, and he believes that the nation is in much better shape than it was before the war started. In a country that about half the population has seen forced from their homes, Assad seems no need to change in their government or political system. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll have more Iowa State and local Ames news after the break. Welcome back to Newswatch. A man has been detained and is currently in custody for a double homicide that occurred in Perry, Iowa on Saturday night. 25-year-old Carlos Marlo Hernandez Ventura is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 attempt of attempted murder. After initially fleeing the scene, he was arrested by police in Morrison, Illinois on a warrant out from Perry. The victims were identified as 34-year-old Laurice Flor-Delique and daughter 14-year-old Melanie Elizabeth Barraza. According to police, this has been the first homicide in Perry since 1999.
Iowa State has officially requested to name the new dormitory under construction Jeffrey after ISU former president Gregory Jeffrey. He was known as a great leader at Iowa State, helping establish enrollment and fundraising records. The ISU Capital Campaign, led by Jeffrey, raised over $800 million and doubled the number of endowed faculty positions to 150. He saved Morrill Hall from demolition and led construction on numerous campus projects, including the Biorenewables Research Lab, Jardine Business Building, Hoover Hall, and the Lloyd Vet Med Center. The new dorm costs $49.5 million with 784 beds and is expected to open this spring.
The trial for an Ames man was delayed for the 3rd time today. Kenneth Massey, who was accused of sexually assaulting an 18-year-old this summer, continues to wait in the Story County Jail on a $51,000 bail as the trial continues to be pushed back. Massey was originally approached about the accusation in June by the police. He ran when they approached and was caught in possession of marijuana in addition to the accusation from the victim. Massey has denied anything happened, and this delay will allow the defense more time to collect depositions.
On October 27th, the Iowa State community was sent an email from the Office of the President about offensive posters found around campus, quote, depicting historical references or messages that could evoke feelings of bias or racism. The posters were removed, but some students did not think that this was enough. The ISU Young Democratic Socialist Group chalked anti-racism messages across high-foot traffic areas throughout campus and is hoping the university will make more of a stand against the situation. The president said that although we defend an individual's right of free expression, this message did not follow the principles of Iowa State community and encourages the Cyclone family to work towards a more respectful and accepting campus.
What began as a small startup from a dorm room has now grown to a profitable business. In 2013, Ray Schmidt started a pumpkin business called Sexy 7 Pumpkins, now renamed Patches 2 Pumpkins. The business has grown considerably since it was established. Schmidt earned a degree from Iowa State in graphic design this past May and is currently working to finish 2 more degrees in management and marketing. He also grew up on a farm, sparking his interest in starting a business. He says, I really like it because it combines all 3 areas of interest and talent. What started out as a 1-patch and 3-employee organization has since grown to 15 employees and 4 patches in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
With all of the homecoming events last week, you might have missed another successful event here at Iowa State. The 7th annual KURE Fest took place last Thursday and Friday, with Night 1 in the M Shop and Night 2 in the Great Hall of the Memorial Union. Many of the artists were from the Des Moines area, including the Maytags and Max Jury. Headlining the second night was alternative electronic band Neon Indian, who played popular hits such as Annie and Polish Girl. What was more delightful was that it was open to the public and free of charge. For full video coverage and interviews with the talent, be sure to tune into Ames Tonight this Thursday.
Yell Like Hell finals were this weekend, with 3 Greek pairings going head-to-head for the coveted trophy and, more importantly, bragging rights. Maria Lizignoli has the story.
Yell Like Hell. An annual homecoming tradition that incorporates yelling, crazy dancing, and a lot of body paint. Each skit is about 5 minutes long and has its own theme.
Russell, the little kid, is trying to get his badge, his Leave My Legacy badge. And then Willie the Wildcat shows up, starts stirring trouble. He steals the Campanile.
I Spy with My Little Sigh. Adventure is up there, and Cyclone Power were the names of the 3 teams in the final cuts.
It's graded based on incorporation of a theme and how well they transition to the different aspects. They go through the precision of movement, hand gestures, creativity is one of them, and really just how jazzed up everyone is.
It's the final cuts of Yell Like Hell, and I'm here with I Spy with My Little Sigh. Can you guys give me a cheer before you go on? Oh, you can't talk. Silent cheer, they can't talk.
There are many rules that each team must follow. Along with incorporating a theme, each team must have a fight song cheer. Each team has 6 weeks to prepare.
Every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m., so 6 hours a week, yeah.
The Yell Like Hell finals were also a part of a homecoming pep rally where they showcased ISU athletic teams, the marching band, and named the homecoming king and queen. The Yell Like Hell winning team was Cyclone Power, which included sorority Pi Beta Phi and fraternities Farmhouse and Delta Chi.
With Mary Kahn and Coley Bergeron, I'm Maria Lizignoli, ISU TV.
Looked like a great time. Thanks once again to Maria for being out there for us here at ISU TV. And the weather held up for Yell Like Hell and a bunch of the homecoming activities. We send it over to Jan to see if this great weather continues on into November.
It was a gorgeous week last week. Unfortunately, we do have rain moving in and cooler temperatures on the way. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break. Welcome back to Newswatch meteorologist Jan Ryherd here with you tonight. Right now out in Ames, we are sitting at 60 degrees, so fairly comfortable for this time of year. Our average high right now is in the mid-50s, so seeing how we're still at 60 and we were in the mid-70s today, definitely above average, but we are on the cool down, like I said, right now sitting at 60, so still above average for this time of year. For highs at 6 or 7 at night is definitely warm, but we do have clouds moving in, and with that is going to come some rain in the overnight early morning hours for us. So taking a look and timing that out, here we've got those clouds moving in. Here's that little bullseye of rain that's just kind of going to impact central Iowa, and that's about it. But it's going to be moving off throughout the morning hours on Wednesday and leaving us with mostly cloudy skies for the rest of our Wednesday. But then those clouds are going to move out, and Thursday looks to be mostly sunny and gorgeous for us. And we're going to get about a half an inch, quarter to half an inch of rain out of that system, depending on how far north it tracks. Right now, Des Moines looking just over half an inch. Right here, we're looking at 0.35. So it shouldn't be too much rain for us, but if it moves a little bit more north, we could get a little bit more out of that. Tonight, we'll be dipping down into 56 for Des Moines, upper 40s to the north. Like I said, though, those are our average highs for this time of year, so still very comfortable, even though it's going to feel much cooler to us over the next few days because we've been spoiled with those 70-degree temperatures. Tonight, 52 in Ames, mostly cloudy, and that rain is going to be moving in the early morning hours, sticking around through about 10 a.m. Tomorrow, we'll see temperatures in the mid-60s, about 10 degrees cooler than they were today across much of the state. In Ames, we'll be at 63. Those showers ending early and moving out, like I said, by 10 a.m. most likely, leaving us with mostly cloudy skies the rest of the day. And then moving ahead to Thursday, taking a look, we've got Oklahoma here in Ames for game day Thursday night. Kickoff at 6:30 here at Jack Trice. Looks to be a great game forecast. We'll see clear skies, high of 59 at kickoff and cooling down as we go through the night. Taking a look at the next 7 days, we've got The only chance of rain on these next 7 days tomorrow, and then lots of clear skies, lots of sunshine, and temperatures in the mid to upper 50s through the weekend. And then as we get into the early parts of next week, the clouds return. Stay tuned. Sports and more news after the break.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Zach Williamson with your Newswatch Sports Report. Iowa State failed to put 4 quarters of good football together once again Saturday, dropping another conference game to the Kansas State Wildcats. The second and third quarters really hurt the Cyclone football team as they were outscored 28-7. However, the Cyclones looked very solid in the fourth quarter, but it was just a little too late as the Wildcats beat the Cyclones 31-26. A few players on the offensive side of the ball really shined for the Cyclones. Jacob Park had a career day, throwing for 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. Iowa State's leading rusher was their other quarterback, Joel Lanning, who ran for 74 yards and a touchdown. The star wide receiver, Alan Lazard, also had a spectacular day, catching 8 passes for 134 yards. The Cyclones look to bounce back Thursday night in their ESPN nationally televised game against the Oklahoma Sooners. Coming into this last weekend, the Big 12 had 2 of the very few remaining undefeated teams left in the FBS, and once the weekend ended, they had 0. The West Virginia Mountaineers looked flat in a 37-20 loss at Oklahoma State. The Mountaineers weren't a proven contender, so a loss to a solid Oklahoma State team wasn't all that shocking. However, Baylor's first loss was more of a shocker as the 3-4 Texas Longhorns beat the Bears 35-34. These losses make it very improbable for a Big 12 team to grab a spot in the BCS playoffs as there are 4 other Power Conference undefeated teams left in Washington, Alabama, Michigan, and Clemson. A disappointing non-conference slate will also hurt the Big 12 champion, as no teams looked very impressive before the conference season began. Both the Iowa State men's and women's cross-country teams had a fantastic showing in the Big 12 Conference Championship last Friday. The women took home first place for the 5th time in the last 6 years. They had 3 top 10 finishers, led by 4th place finisher Ann Frisbee. The next closest opponent was Oklahoma State, who is still 26 back from the Cyclones. The men's team took 2nd place at the meet, good enough for their best finish since 2013. They also had 3 runners in the top 10 and were led by freshman Thomas Pollard, who finished in 4th place. They lost to Oklahoma State by 14 points and beat Texas by 51 points. Both Iowa State teams will run in the Midwest Regionals on November 11th in Iowa City to try to qualify for the national championships. The Indians came into Sunday with a 3-1 series lead over the Cubs, looking to win their first World Series since 1948. Jose Ramirez started off the scoring with a solo home run off of John Lester. The Cleveland pitcher, Trevor Bauer, kept the Cubs' bats quiet until the 4th inning, where the Cubs scored 3 runs to take a 3-1 lead. The Indians were able to get a run back in the 6th, but once the Cubs brought in the lefty flamethrower, Aroldis Chapman, in the 7th inning, the Indians couldn't scratch a run the rest of the game, falling to the Cubs 3-2. Tonight, Game 6 started at 7 p.m. The current score is Chicago 7 and the Indians 0. With a win, the Indians will be crowned the champions, but if the Cubs take care of business, Game 7 will take place tomorrow night. That'll do it for tonight's Newswatch Sports Report. Lisa and Taylor have more after the break.
Welcome back to Newswatch. A former Disney Channel star recently made news for a couple's costume that many people found offensive. Hilary Duff and boyfriend Jason Walsh attended a Halloween party dressed as a pilgrim and a Native American. Many social media users criticized Duff and Walsh for being culturally insensitive. Upon receiving criticism, Duff tweeted an apology in which she said, "I am so sorry to the people I offended with my costume. It was not properly thought through, and I am truly, from the bottom of my heart, sorry." Walsh also apologized via Instagram, saying, "I meant no disrespect. I only have admiration for the indigenous people in America. In hindsight, I would have not made that decision. I apologize to anyone I may have offended."
Justin Bieber recently wrote a letter to his fans explaining his recent behavior at his October 23rd concert in Manchester, England. During the concert, Bieber dropped the microphone and stormed off the stage after repeatedly asking for fans to stop screaming in between performances. Bieber enlists that he was not angry at his fans and explains, "All I was simply doing was wanting people to listen, to kind of hear me out a little bit. Certain cities aren't going to want to hear me out, and sometimes it's my job just to say, hey, I'm not going to try to force anything." Bieber ended his notes by thanking everyone who attended his concert on the 23rd.
And that'll do it here on Newswatch on ISU TV.
And we would be very happy to announce that KURE, 88.5 Ames Alternative, and ISU TV now are official partners, and we would love for you to tune into them throughout the week. They will also be simulcasting a very big show coming up a week from today. That's ISU TV's General Election Special. Make sure to tune into that and all of our other shows throughout the week. That's all we have time for. Have a peaceful good evening.